What's up? We are back for Do That But Better. I'm Zach and here with my brother Eric. What's up, Eric?
How's it going?
I'm doing all right. How was your weekend this weekend?
Let's see, what did we do? It's pretty solid. We relaxed. We got a new niece. So Dan and Hannah, who live here with us, just had a
Yeah,
baby over the weekend. So
crazy.
we were watching older niece
Hmm. Well, that's
while they were,
awesome.
yeah,
I was wondering how you got a new niece. I was like, all right.
not from you guys.
Awesome. But yeah, I had a great weekend also. Had the quarterfinals, so the 40 to 44.
Yep, how you feeling after that?
I'm feeling pretty good. I was a little bit sore over the weekend, but really not too bad. 5 workouts and yeah, just a long weekend. We had sun. I don't know if you can tell, my head is red.
Yep.
I'm not blushing, but it was awesome. Now it's about 35 degrees, but it was 80. It was like 80s over the weekend.
Yep, as usual, we're a couple days off, so like we were just cold, and now today is the first day where it's gonna be back in the 70s, pushing 80 again for the rest of the week.
Well, yeah, but yeah. So over the weekend, 5 workouts in 3 days,
Yeah, what
and
question for you?
yeah,
What did you eat during that? What was your plan going into that?
that's a great question. And I did very little thinking. So, so I had my normal breakfast. So the way that we did it, we did we did actually we were planning on doing the first 2 workouts on Thursday night, and because I was coaching, they were coming out at 2 o'clock. We had to I had to coach at 3:30 and coaching till 7. So we're like, all right, we'll do it afterwards. But they came out a little bit early, so we were able to get the first one. And the first one was short. It was toes to bar and snatches,
Hmm.
and we were able to get it done before that class. Then we came back in the evening and did the second one. Um, then we did one in the morning on Saturday, and then one in the afternoon on Saturday. Or did we do two? I forgot. But we got them all done by Saturday, or like that's what we did. I forgot about Friday. We did one in the
Hmm.
morning on Friday, and then we did two on Saturday.
Gotcha.
And basically, I had breakfast on Thursday, and I might have had lunch. So my breakfast was eggs and spinach and mushrooms, and then oatmeal with protein in it. And then I might have had lunch, and then we did our workout, and then came back and did the second workout in the evening, and that was about it. So for performance, that's what I did.
Fasting for performance.
That's right. And you know what? For the most part, oops,
Whoa, you just shared your screen.
yeah, I know. But actually, I shared the wrong screen. I wanted to share this one.
Hmm.
Boom. Yeah, there we go. Number 429. I moved up. I moved up over 100 spots,
Wow,
and
that's awesome.
and I didn't do it with special nutrition. but uh, but yeah, and so I think that this question comes up like, what should I be eating for my workout?
Hmm.
And there are some guidelines that you can use for performance, but really when you start thinking about it, it's like, what am I doing? Or like, what are my real goals?
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think that so many times people go into exercise and they're like, what should I be eating for this? And it's like, well, what are you eating for everything else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like trickle down where you I think of like running and endurance stuff
Hmm.
because, working with Lisa's company 3W, all these people are doing runs all the time
Hmm.
and they're all using the goos, the gels and stuff. And I just think like that stuff comes from the elite who are doing crazy things.
Yeah.
And so they make these special nutritional things for that. And then everyone else wants to do the same thing as the elite people. It's
Yeah.
like, if you're not running 30 miles a day or, 200 miles a week, you probably don't need the same nutrition as someone who is.
Yeah.
Like for
Absolutely.
most people, unless you are like doing that 5 workouts in a couple days or doing a competition, your normal diet should fuel you enough to do your normal things and go do a workout. Just like if, you were out for a walk and the dog gets away and you've got to go chase it. Right? Like
Right.
it's the same thing. So your normal daily nutrition really should be filling that role already.
Right. Well, and when getting into CrossFit and you had the mantra of eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little stars, no sugar, and and the biggest sticking point I feel like was the keep intake to levels that support exercise and not body fat,
Hmm.
right? And so number one, that it's hard to do. And most people who are exercising, most people who are doing CrossFit are not necessarily looking for elite performance. And by elite, I mean going to the CrossFit Games, winning money, or anything like that. They want to be like, I feel that elite performance doesn't have to be that, right?
Hmm.
It can be, hey, I am the fittest 40-year-old that I know, or um, I am the fittest person that my kid knows, right?
Yeah.
Or like, being an example, and that is elite, right? But but really all we need to do is find, all right, how do I fuel myself well? And I remember when Eat to Perform came out, and you know in that paleo world, there was like, it was like almost like no carbs, like it was
Hmm.
like some fruit, and like if you eat grains, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And all of a sudden, Eat to Perform is telling people to eat more carbohydrates, eat them around a workout. And it's like, oh crap. And it was almost like going back to the whole idea of like carb loading before a game or anything.
Yeah.
And I remember playing basketball, and people are like, oh, gotta have some pasta before the like the night before. And it's like, what the I was 10 years old. Like, are you kidding me?
And
Like,
in college, playing soccer, you're like, hey, we're all getting together and having a big pasta dinner or like a bunch of pizza. Like,
yeah.
that was such a terrible idea.
It is ridiculous. And well, one of the big things with carb loading is that it's a process. It's not a thing that you do the night before, because your
Yeah.
body can't hold enough, right? So if you are actually carb loading, you're going to use like almost a week where you are adjusting so that your body can store more. And
Yeah.
if you're not doing that, then all you're doing is eating a bunch of crap food.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that, if you're doing something like basketball or, playing a sport, um, when you store carbs, what is it? I think every one glucose is
Mhm.
bonded with 3 or 4 water molecules.
Hmm.
So when you carb load, when you store all of that, you are also storing a ton of water. So is it worth it to weigh yourself down extra
Hmm.
with all of that water retention? If you're running 200 miles, maybe.
Right.
If you're not, probably not.
Right. And really, I mean, you should just be fueling yourself all the time
Hmm.
for for what you're doing. And so that's going to change day by day, right? But one of the big things, so like we said, no sugar is usually a great idea.
Hmm.
Now, there are times that we might use sugar, right? So in a CrossFit workout, and this is where Eat to Perform and then a bunch of other places also started bringing up that when you're doing high intensity work, right? So whether it's a 1 rep max on a back squat, or you're doing a 400-meter sprint or something like that, you are mainly using glucose or sugar for energy, and your body works really well doing that. But one big thing is that we don't necessarily need just sugar, like dietary sugar, to be using glucose for energy, and your body can make it. Now, it's very effective to to have simple sugars when we're working out and we're doing high intensity things, but it's also not necessary. Your
Hmm.
body is going to break down fat. It's got calories that you've ate, and it's going to make glucose, and so you're going to be able to run on those things.
Yeah. 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 You don't, your body is awesome at converting.
Mm.
So if you are looking to lose fat, like it takes some work to get your body to that point of where it's like, oh crap, we have to break down the fat in this cell and move it out and now turn it into energy and use that. And if you're constantly eating a ton of sugar, it's never going to do that.
Yeah, actually, I think that that's one of the biggest problems that I see in that performance world. So people who are trying to um, use like performance methodology for um, like casually working out, even working out hard, doing CrossFit 3 days a week,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh man, I need more carbs, and it's like, I promise that you don't. And
Yeah. Did you have a banana or an apple today? Or
absolutely. And yeah, like I think that one thing that you start to see is that carbs get addictive. And I've gone through like lots of iterations of how I fuel my workouts.
Mhm.
From like, I was putting sugar in my protein shake, right? Now, there was a time where I was doing um, heavy lifting for like hour and a half to 2 hours, where it was absolutely crushing me.
Mhm.
And I think that it was beneficial to to have that extra fuel, because I would almost get bonked sometimes
Yeah.
when I was working out. And the same thing, if somebody's doing a marathon and they're doing it at that super fast pace, you are using your sugar stores very rapidly.
Mhm.
And that's why in a marathon, like they'll say, I think it's somewhere between like 30 and 60 um, grams of carbs per hour. So you'll get these goos and things like that. But like you were saying, if my body is used to running on sugar, right, it gets less adapt to using other things for fuel.
Yeah.
And now that sugar store is gone, and I only have so much. Now all of a sudden, my body's not as good at switching the flip. No, flipping the switch to be able to use energy. And actually, I remember Rob Wolf talking about, he did so Rob Wolf wrote the Paleo Solution. So he was big into the paleo world. Actually, him and Lauren Cordain really brought it to the forefront, I think.
Mhm.
And he he did some kind of challenge. It was like almost like not a documentary, but like maybe even a show. And he had got so adept to using fat for fuel that um, that they so I think that the thing was that they were going to be out and they had to live like Paleolithic man, right? So you had to hunt and gather and all this stuff. And um, when they finished, because they didn't have a lot of food, his blood sugar was about 30, and he was functioning just fine. And which, I mean, that's obviously not normal.
Yeah.
Like under like 60. people start to like lose consciousness and they go into sweats and convulsions and things like that. And he was functioning really well. So
Mhm.
he had become really good at doing that. And if, actually just think about intermittent fasting, right? Um, we can start bringing those blood sugars down. We start using fat for fuel better, right? And now when we have that fuel, we can use it. But if we're using it up and now, oh shoot, I need more. Not only am I hungry, I'm jonesing for more sugar or just
Mhm.
carbohydrates in general, and it's like an ongoing circle. And now I'm possibly gaining weight because I'm eating these things more often and more often, and I'm getting more than I need.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super interesting. If you look at people who do keto,
Hmm.
when you first try to get into ketosis, it takes a while and you've got
Hmm.
to be like strict. And the more times you do it, the easier it becomes to get into ketosis because your body, there's all kinds of things like hormones start to shift, like receptors in your cells start to move from the center of the cell to the outside so that they can move the chemicals across, like in and out of your cells faster. All these things, all these changes happen when you give your body that stimulus more often.
Mm.
So yeah, like you get so much better at it. But if you never get into that state, then your body just doesn't have the practice, so it's not prepared because it's like, hey, we've always got glucose. I don't need to work on this other stuff. So yeah, like doing a fast every once in a while, and just cutting back on the carbs, so that it's not just a constant onslaught. It gives you that mobility,
Yeah,
metabolic mobility.
right. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, CrossFit has said it for a long time. It's like off the carbs, off the couch, right?
Yep.
And so if our idea is for body composition, if it's for fat loss, and now we still need to fuel, right? Because I want to have fuel so that I can work out. So I'm not necessarily recommending that you do your fasted cardio and things like that, right? That's totally fine if you feel good doing that. But even when it comes to fat loss, all right, so like the idea behind like the inner or the fasted cardio is that because you are already depleted, that you will burn fat more readily than if you had carbohydrates or even just food in general,
Hmm.
where it's floating around in the bloodstream, right? But guess what happens when you work out? You get hungry, and then you eat, and then now you eat, and now if I overeat, it did nothing because yes, you might have been using fat for fuel, but you can gain it right back when you eat. So when you are working out, having some fuel is going to let you work harder and longer if I have proper fuel. So a few things, like if you are looking to set up a good workout, um, eating somewhere in like 1 to 2 hours before, so you have some fuel. Now, optimally, we want to keep, especially like the closer you get to your workout, the less fiber that we want. All
Hmm.
right, and so now this is more or less for performance because we don't want to be digesting while we're working out. Like number one, that can end up with dirty pants or something like that.
Yeah.
But um, but also we want the fuel to be readily available, and that's why people use things like whey protein either right before a workout. So if you're doing a really long workout, they might do it in a workout or recovering afterwards
Hmm.
because it's fast digesting. And especially if we're doing a long workout, it'll lead to less muscle breakdown, and we have that fuel ready to go. Same thing with adding a little bit of carbohydrates. And like you said, yeah, you can do fruit or something like that. If you're in a competition or something like that, it's probably a better idea to have some kind of simple carbohydrate, right? So and people will put dextrose in a in a shake or something like that, because now
Hmm.
you have a quick burst. I like to think of that as rocket fuel. All right. If you
Yep.
don't need rocket fuel, then don't use rocket fuel. It's a waste, and especially at gas prices. But yeah, so using a little bit of something so you have that energy. But outside of that, now we want to go back into our like fat burning mode, right? Where we're just long and slow, and now we can get back into higher fiber. So if you're eating carbohydrates, we want to stick to whole grains. We want to stick to fruits and things like that. And now we're back into your protein and vegetables. So getting all that fiber, getting things that are going to help you recover, but in a longer period.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it really basically comes back to those energy systems that we've talked about,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, what's the workout that you're doing and what gets that energy system working,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, most of the time, if you're doing CrossFit, most of the time you're going to be in that glycolytic, right? The glucose
Right.
that you're using in your muscles. But yeah, like for your heavy lifts, in your phosphocreatine, right? That's why people take creatine is to make sure that that energy system is topped off.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, like I mean, if you eat red meat regularly, you're topped off on creatine. Like you're gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then the oxidative, which is mostly oxygen, right?
Right.
If those long workouts, it's mostly breathing, and like you said, you're gonna want some glucose along the way, depending on how long you're going. Um, but yeah, if you think of it in those terms, I feel like that helps me. Of like, okay, what do I need for this workout? What am I using? And notice, and you mentioned fiber, but fat too. Fiber and fat both, they slow down your digestion. You aren't going to
Right.
absorb everything as quickly. So those are fiber and fat are your regular meals.
Right. Yeah. If you're not doing very much, if you're going for a walk, you don't need crazy fuel to
Yeah.
do little bits of work.
Yeah.
Now, um, Eric, you did the Spartan Ultra,
Yeah.
and what did you do going into that? Did you have a plan nutrition wise?
Somewhat. Yeah. So it was definitely electrolytes and carbs.
Okay.
So I had an electrolyte drink in my Camelback, and then um, I had peanut butter and jelly
Hmm,
on cinnamon raisin toast,
nice.
which was awesome. The mistake that I made was getting cocky because I was crushing it. I was pretty sure I was in like first or second or third, and we are going up these switchbacks. And I was like, man, I don't want to stop and try to eat peanut butter and jelly, which I picked that because I was like, that'll be delicious and I'll be excited to eat that,
Yeah.
but not super easy to like chew and breathe and stuff. Which I figured, like, I'm
Yeah.
climbing mountains doing this thing, like, whatever. Um, but I'm going up these switchbacks. I'm like, I have to eat now. Like, the timing was the challenge.
Hmm.
It's like, I
Uh,
really need to eat, but I don't want to stop and, like, let people catch up. So I just kept going. So then on the way down the mountain, that's when my quads really cramped.
mm,
And so then I was like, okay, I should probably eat something. And once I did, I was great for the rest of the time for the second lap up the mountain and back down.
yeah.
Um, yeah, like carbs and electrolytes, and I was fine.
Right. Now, do you know? Well, so how long did that take you?
I think it was like 6 hours, maybe
Okay. Yeah.
6.5,
A-
maybe. Yeah, I think 6 hours.
And I mean, if you think about that, you know, how often are most of us doing 6 hours of work,
Right.
right? And so it's like, all right, if I'm doing 1 hour of work, um, do I need to really up the ante? And how much more will it provide me,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
I
What's the
think,
difference I see?
yeah, am I looking for that 1% difference as like an Olympic athlete, like because my job depends on it, or do I need to get my eating in place first? And I think that this is huge too, because if you have a protein shake and some carbohydrates at your workout, so you can perform really great, but outside of that, I'm eating at McDonald's and whatever else, it's like
I
your
slept the
body,
whole 4 hours the night before.
yeah, yep. Then, am I getting the benefit that I need, or am I just slapping lipstick on a pig? You know?
Right.
And it's like, all right, let's fuel ourselves throughout the day as good as possible. And if if that's dialed in, then we can start getting into our workout prep
Hmm.
and really dialing that in. But for the most part, if you have a protein shake, right? So, somewhere between 24, 30 grams of protein, and now maybe putting in like 20 grams of carbs, you're going to be totally fine. Now, this is
Hmm.
another thing. Do you know how many carbs you're having, right? And if I only need about 60 per hour, number one, do I know what that looks like? and um, and then what am I having like throughout the day? Did I have breakfast where I have plenty of glycogen stores, and now I'm doing my workout at 3:30,
Hmm.
and I'm totally fine.
Yeah. Or like, are you a fireman or working construction and come and do your workout before or after that? That's where I could see that like having more of an impact. Like, okay, you are like working throughout the day. Now you
Yes,
might want that protein shake with a little extra carb added in to make sure that you're ready to go um, for that hour workout.
absolutely. Now, actually, that's another thing. Even just recovery,
Hmm.
right? So a lot of times, um, people are like, all right, what should I have? And we often think that we need too much. So for most people, probably having more than 200 grams of carbs a day um, is probably not needed.
Hmm.
If you're doing one workout a day, and and you have a pretty sedentary job, right? You're probably going to be pretty darn good with like 200 or less. And around that workout, you're if I have about 50, I'm going to be pretty darn good. But
Hmm.
a lot of times we go, man, I really need to get carbs, and it's like I'm going to have this donut like
Yeah.
for for about 80, maybe 100. You know what I mean? It's like depending on how much you got. And then now what else does my day look like? And now we're ruining our progress because we thought that we needed this big dose of something for the work that we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I know we've said it before, but like you are not burning as many calories as you think,
Hmm.
and you're
Yeah.
eating more calories than you think.
Yeah. Well, actually, I was putting some stuff together the other day, and just with um, you know 250 calories a day. Like if I reduce my calories 250 grams, or I'm sorry, 250 calories a day,
Hmm.
I will lose about a pound a week. My my stinking lights. I'll lose about a pound a week, right?
Hmm.
And that is about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. That is it was like 2 pieces of bread. It's um like four man, how many it was like X amount of almonds. It was like,
Hmm.
it was like 24 or 30 or something like that. And it's like, oh man, now if I'm eating that much more, right? Now I'm
Right.
gaining a pound a week, right? If I
Yeah.
was already breaking even. And it's like having extra excess body fat does not help performance, right? Now, having body fat is totally fine, but having excess, if I'm gaining, if I'm looking for body composition or just long-term health or whatever,
Hmm.
it's like dialing these things in.
Yeah.
So for the most part, let's bring this in, Eric. For
Yeah.
the most
Like
part,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like we said before, I feel like a lot of these things that people ask about that we're interested in, of like, do I need carbs here? How much protein do I need? When should I do it? A lot of that stuff comes from that elite performance world, and it's fun to look at, and it can be helpful, like we said, in those like longer workouts, or if you are depleted from just your job or whatever. But for the most part, most people are in the basic category of eat your fruits, vegetables, meat, vegetables, nuts, and seeds.
Yep.
Like if you can dial that into more whole foods, fewer processed foods, um, consistently, you will be fueled for what you need, and you're going to see the results that you're looking for.
Right. And you know what? There's like a hierarchy. So we got our little pyramid.
Yep.
And number one is going to be quality food. Are you getting quality food? Like you said, meat and vegetables, nuts, seeds, some fruit, little stars, no sugar. Then it's going to come down to quantity. Am I eating more or less than what I need to support exercise and not body fat? Then we can go into macros, right? But I can't even get to those macros until I get these other things because it doesn't really matter, right?
Hmm.
And then we can go into timing. And now, what should I be eating around this workout? How far before? How far after? And then you can even go into now, like you're doing a marathon. And all right, how long should I go between meals or goos or whatever you want to do? But if I'm eating really well, my body's going to be set up really well to number one, burn sugar when I have it, and also use body fat as energy when I need to.
Hmm.
And so it's start from that bottom, eat quality, get the right quantity, adjust your macros, and then we can get into timing and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Just like everything else, the most complicated thing is not the magic bullet.
Right.
That is tweaking peak performance.
Yeah.
The basics, that's the basics that you want to avoid. Those are what you need.
I know all that, but what about this?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
how we all end up shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Focus on the fundamentals.
yep. And once you've mastered them, start again, and this time pay more attention.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think that's good for today, Eric.
Cool.
All right, we will see you next week for Do That But Better. Have a great week.
See you later.